Come on in, come on in. I hope you're having a beautiful midweek here. We are halfway through and we got some great stories lined up for you tonight. Diddy's defense team is getting desperate. Cassie has delivered baby number 3. We got so much more to get into, so come on in, come on in, come on in. And if you're not familiar with me, my name is Aries Rose, and welcome to Aries Rose TV. Here we talk about streaming shows, TV shows, movies, pop culture, celebrity news, world news, local news, basically anything I find interesting, I come on and discuss with my Aries crew. You know the drill if you've been on a live before. If you are a returning Aries crew member, leave hashtag Aries crew in the comments. If you are a first time watcher, leave first time watcher in the comments. I want to give you a shout out for stopping by and spending part of your day here. Let's get into the lineup we have for tonight's show. As you know, we are following the Diddy trial on this channel. So every day that there's testimony, we will be reporting about what's going on. So make sure that you subscribe. It costs nothing, and hit that subscription button so you can get notified every time I go live, post on the community page, post shorts, and you can get all your updates, your pop culture news right here at Aries Rose TV. And tonight we are going to be talking about, of course, Diddy Trial Day 11 testimony. We're also going to be talking about the Motown legend Smokey Robinson. He is fighting back against the lawsuit that was filed against him by former housekeepers by filing his own lawsuit. So we got to get some more information on that. Brad Pitt is talking about and reflecting on his 8-year-long divorce with Angelina Jolie. I believe that's just recently been settled. So we got to get into that because 8 years is a long time to be going through trying to get a divorce. And Cassie has had baby number 3. She was very pregnant when she went and testified. She was one of the first people to testify here in this Diddy federal trial. And she's given birth to baby number 3, which I believe is a son. So, of course, we got to get into that. And the actor who played Chucky has passed away at the age of 61. And we got to get into that as well. So, we are going to start off with our first story for today, and that's going to be about Motown legend Smokey Robinson. I'm going to give some time for people to come into the room. Come on in, everyone. Welcome. Let me know in the comments if you are a first-time watcher, leave first-time watcher, or if you are a returning member of the Aries crew, leave hashtag Aries crew in the comments. Isabella, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. And we're just getting our story pulled up here. Welcome to everyone. So Smokey Robinson, he is a architect of the Motown sound. He pretty much wrote some of the biggest songs for a lot of the stars in that time, the Supremes, the Temptations, on down the line, including for his own group, the Miracles. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate that shout out, Isabella, for the earrings. And he recently had a lawsuit filed against him by former housekeepers. I want to say it was like 4 former housekeepers that are alleging sexual assault. And he is now fighting back to those allegations here. So we have to get into the lawsuit that he's filed against those housekeepers. And we're going to do a quick pause here for comments. Emily, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And this is reporting from TMZ. Smokey Robinson's firing back at the women accusing him of sexual assault with a lawsuit of his own, claiming he and his wife Frances always treated employees with respect, and the 4 people suing them are simply trying to shake them down. The singer-songwriter and his wife filed a cross-complaint against the 4 Jane Does, according to their attorney, for $500 million. In the suit, they say Smokey not only didn't abuse any of these women, but instead treated them like extended family. Oh, you subscribed. Thank you so much, Emily. I really appreciate that. Welcome to the Aries crew. We'd love to have you here. And Smokey and his legal team point to gifts they claim he and his wife gave to these women over the years, including concert tickets, money for dental procedures, and more. Robinson exhibits all of alleged texts showing the close relationships he had with the employees, with one appearing to show an invite to an employee's son's graduation dinner. Another shows a sweet text allegedly sent by a plaintiff to Smokey. None your business. Welcome. Another photo shows Francis on vacation in Cabo with one of the alleged accusers for the accuser's birthday, a vacation Robinson claims he and his wife paid for. So he's coming with some receipts. Smokey and his wife are also claiming these women, quote, had the ideal access to take advantage of them, end quote, alleging they knew where the valuables were hidden. Sunshine, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. In separate, or the Robinsons are suing for defamation, financial elder abuse, emotional distress, invasion of privacy, civil conspiracy, and more. Shout out to Sunshine Aries Nation. Yes, I hope you are a part of the Aries crew. If not, we'd love to have you a part of the family. Just hit that subscription button. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being on. Appreciate you. And we're going to get back into the story here. In separate legal filings, Smokey's asking that the Jane Does be identified publicly, claiming their legal team has turned the proceedings into a media circus, so they can't demand anonymity now. And then we broke the story. 4 anonymous women sued Smokey for actual battery, assault, false imprisonment, and gender violence. They're seeking at least $50 million in damages. These women later went to the police to file police reports against Smokey Robinson. Smokey consistently denied any wrongdoings in this case, calling it a shakedown. And this is reporting from TMZ. Says we've reached out to the lawyer for the 4 plaintiffs about the cross complaint. So far, no word back. Welcome. Welcome, Will. Appreciate you being here. I'm in Aries as well. Are you a March Aries or an April Aries? Let me know in the comments. Momo, did I see you with Judge Joe Brown? No, I do not know Judge Joe Brown other than on the TV, so I highly doubt that. But we're going to get back into the story here. So we got an update here. It looks like it's from the Jane Does. And we got here attorneys John Harris and Herbert Hayden, who represent Jane Does 1 through 4, tell TMZ, quote, the cross complaint filed by Mr. Christopher Frost on behalf of William Smokey Robinson. I never knew his first name was William. I've only known him by Smokey Robinson. And Francis Robinson is nothing more than an attempt to silence and intimidate the survivors of Mr. Robinson's actual battery and assault. It is a baseless and vindictive legal maneuver designed to re-victimize, shift blame, and discourage others from coming forward. This type of retaliatory litigation is precisely what California's anti-SLAPP laws were enacted to prevent, end quote. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about this lawsuit that was filed against Smokey Robinson. For me, it was shocking. The man is 85 years old. And the whole time that I've ever known him, I've never heard of any controversy or negativity associated with his name. So I was really surprised to see this one come out. To me, he did the right thing by not speaking when it first came out, which I think is something Shannon Sharpe should have done in hindsight, because him speaking out, I don't think really helped his case. It just made him look worse in public. So Smokey did the right thing by not talking, and he's letting this lawsuit talk about how he feels about those allegations. So let me know what you think in the comments. Oh, you know what? I'm going to add on one more story. I can't believe I forgot this. So yesterday we reported President Trump has pardoned Julie and Todd Chrisley, reality TV stars from Chrisley Knows Best. And it looks like Todd so far has been released from prison. And this was just yesterday. So that's how fast that works. So let's get into this reporting from TMZ. Now, Todd and Julie were sentenced for bank fraud and tax evasion. And so I believe Todd had the longer sentence of 9 years, and Julie had a sentence of 7 years. If you've ever seen the show or you're familiar with Todd and Julie Chrisley, neither one of them are built for prison. And I thought they just had really lengthy sentences. So I'm actually not mad that Trump pardoned them. I'm okay with this one. And let's get into this reporting here from TMZ about Todd being released from federal prison here. Todd Chrisley is officially out of federal prison. TMZ has learned the Federal Bureau of Prisons tells TMZ Todd was released from federal prison camp Pensacola on Wednesday morning. So that was just earlier today, depending on where you are in your time zone. His daughter Savannah gave a press conference hours before he was freed. Todd was convicted on bank fraud and tax evasion charges in 2022. So he's been in there for at least two and a half years at this point. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison, and Julie and his wife Julie received a 7-year sentence, but both served just 2 years before the pardon. Oh, so Todd had an even longer sentence than I thought, 12 years. That's crazy. President Donald Trump announced the news via phone call to Savannah Tuesday, and she shared photos of him signing off on the official paperwork this afternoon. By the way, fans will be able to see the whole release from jail in the family's upcoming Lifetime show, so tune in to see the family reunion in its entirety. As for the 17.8 million they owe in restitution, some of the top legal minds on our staff came together to discuss it, and it sounds like the Chrisleys may not be on the hook for any of it. For now, though, Todd and Julie will be able to enjoy regaining their freedom and celebrate it with the people they love most. And sources with this is an update as of 4:31 p.m. today. It says sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ Todd Chrisley and his daughter Savannah are already on their way home to Nashville. So it looks like he is out. President Trump, this is Chuckin, just stated President Trump pardoned Larry Hoover. I did see that. I got to talk about that too. Oh, we got lots of stories to cover. Aries crew. We might be a little bit long tonight. We got quite a bit. Just pardoned Larry Hoover, NBA young boy. Oh, I didn't know about NBA young boy. I did hear about Larry Hoover and Todd Chrisley and his wife today. I did know about that. And let's see, vegan dolls. Imagine stealing $40 million and getting pardoned. Trump doesn't seem to be a fan of anything related to the IRS, and so he is probably going to be more sympathetic to them for that. And was it 40 million that they stole? Allegedly? Well, I guess they were convicted, so you don't have to say allegedly, right? Because they were serving sentences for it. But is 40 million how much Todd and Julie had taken? Let me know that in the comments here. All right, we'll get into the Larry Hoover one in a little bit because I did see that. And let's talk about, or let's get into this Brad Pitt. So Brad Pitt has finally finished his divorce. Yeah, it was close to that. Okay. Thank you for letting me know, Vegan Dolls, close to that. That's wild. Were they buying homes and doing some real estate stuff with that? I can't remember the whole situation now. But we got Brad Pitt, who is talking about his very long divorce with Angelina Jolie. At least I think 8 years is a long time to be divorcing. I don't even know if they were married for that long. So their divorce might have been longer than their marriage. But let's get into this reporting from TMZ. Said Diddy behind Run, he got that oil. Yeah, I'm sure he's got some Johnson Johnson baby oil. That's clearly his thing. That's what we've learned from this trial for sure. And let's get into this story here. Brad Pitt is finally breaking his silence on the messy years-long divorce drama with Angelina Jolie, and let's just say his response was casual. Movie stars being busy hyping up his new racing flick F1. But when GQ asked if finally finalizing the divorce in December after 8 freaking years, mind you, felt like a relief, he made it clear it was something he hadn't really been sweating the whole time. 8 years. I mean, tell me if you think 8 years is excessive to be getting a divorce. I think that is a long time. Like, what are you still having to work out that takes 8 years? So Brad straight up said, quote, "No, I didn't think it was that major of a thing, just something coming to fruition legally," end quote. It's an interesting response, and it's hard to tell if Brad was kind of annoyed the question even came up, if he was trying to keep it chill and professional, or if he truly didn't think it was a big deal. Maddox, thank you so much. You have a great day as well. Appreciate you being here. Angelina filed for divorce way back in September of 2016. Now imagine filing for divorce all the way back then and it doesn't get finalized until 8 years later. citing irreconcilable differences, and things got real messy real fast. Not long after, she accused Brad of physically abusing at least one of their kids. He denied it from day one, and in full investigation, authorities cleared him. Their divorce drama was dragging so much, a judge stepped in and declared them legally single in 2019. And they were also tangled up in a messy lawsuit over their French winery. So, yeah, on paper, it's been a long, exhausting ride, but Brad, he's clearly putting up pedal to the metal and speeding on with his life. And best wishes to the two of them. It seemed like they were not happy together, and being apart has been a better situation for them. I just think that is an incredibly long time to be getting a divorce. And it's pretty sad because they have lots of kids they share together. I know some are adopted and some they share together that are their biological kids. But I want to say the kids mainly maintain their relationship with Angelina and not so much with Brad. So um, that's unfortunate here, but wishing them both the best. You're going through a separation. Wishing you all the best, sweet tea. Thank you for sharing that. And now let's get into some Diddy trial stuff. Now we're going to talk about Cassie here. She has just been all through the news right now since she has testified with the Diddy trial. That's right, Tommy Diddy, Diddy, Diddy. That's what we're getting into here. The last part of the show, and then we got to touch on Larry Hoover being pardoned. But we're having our Diddy time right now, so come on in, get your popcorn, get your drinks. Let's get into some news here. So, baby number 3 arrives. Cassie had her baby. So, she was one of the first to testify when this trial started on May 12th. And she testified for 4 days. And we learned a lot of things that she had going on in this relationship with Diddy. We were seeing pictures of escorts, hearing about what these freak offs were like. It was all too much for me, and what happened to her body as a result of doing all of these things. But she had to do this testifying while she was pregnant, 8 months pregnant. So she's in her third trimester here. And it looks like she has had her baby. So I don't know if all the stress from the trial and everything that's been going on kind of caused that, because it was supposed to be, baby was supposed to come in June, but definitely at a safe point right now for the baby to be delivered. Most of their organs are already fully developed, so it's okay. Baby came a little bit early here. And let's get into this reporting from TMZ. We're going to take a quick pause, sweet tea. Diddy is guilty. You believe he's guilty. Okay, so you think the prosecution is doing a good job of proving their case, or are you just going off of like the testimony from Cassie or the others that have been on the stand so far testifying to their experience with Diddy? Let me know. And let's get into the story here. Cassie's a new mom once again, welcoming her third child into the world less than 2 weeks after testifying against her ex, Diddy, at his federal trial. And I believe it's been prior to her going to the trial and testifying. It had been years since she's seen him face to face. Now, as you know, she sued Diddy back in November of 2023, and that got settled in 24 hours. And we now know he paid out $20 million for that to go away, although it didn't really, right? Because she testified and probably said a lot of the stuff she would have said had that case gone to court. So he didn't come out unscathed. He didn't get to pay the money and still stay faced, because CNN put him on blast by putting out that video from their incident at the Intercontinental Hotel back in 2016. And then the testimony Cassie's given, the photos that have come up, it doesn't make him look all that great here. And but he did settle that case within that time frame there, and then things kind of died down with her, and then looks like the prosecution wanted to use her situation with him as part of what's building their case to say he's guilty of doing these things. And let's get back into this story here. The singer-songwriter gave birth Tuesday in a New York hospital. Okay, so she gave birth yesterday. According to sources with direct knowledge, we're told mother and child are healthy and doing well. That's wonderful. Despite arriving slightly earlier than her due date, we broke the story yesterday. Cassie was rushed to the hospital and admitted into labor and delivery. Cassie first announced the news of her pregnancy back in February, sharing a heartfelt social media post with her two older kids, Frankie and Sunny, kissing her belly. Cassie had all three of her kids with her husband, Alex Fine, who she married back in 2019, about a year after she split from the disgraced music mogul. As you know, Cassie's legal battle with Diddy started when she sued him in November 2023, claiming he abused her. Diddy settled that lawsuit for the very next day for an undisclosed amount, but during her testimony earlier this month, we learned the settlement amount was $20 million. And photos of injuries Cassie says she suffered at Diddy's hand were entered into evidence too, with bruises covering her back and legs. Yikes. Cassie's baby bump was very prominent when she was on the stand for several days, and the judge made a point of limiting her time testifying due to concern she might go into labor. Cassie's lawyer, Doug Wigdor, told us after her testimony ended that Cassie was preparing to give birth to this child, focusing on her family after the long week. Baby's arrival is a bright spot in a tumultuous year. Congratulations, Cassie and Alex. So, congratulations to her for having a healthy baby. It sounds like they're both doing well. Let's get into some comments. And let's see, listening to 50 Cent and Cat Williams, pretty sure he's done. If he gets out of this, it's going to be a big conspiracy. I agree with you, Sweet Tea, and I don't know if he'll be convicted or not. I'm kind of 50-50. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like the defense team is getting a little bit worried because they're trying to go for a mistrial there, and I'm only thinking you try to lean in that direction if you're feeling like it's not looking good for your client. So, I'm not sure which way it may land, but there's been talk of, potentially maybe if he's convicted, Trump may pardon him, because what we do know is that him and Trump do have a pretty good relationship. He stayed at the Trump Hotel a lot. Trump has spoken positively about Diddy, so I don't know. He may still have some aces up his sleeve. We'll see. And let's get into the defense team moves for a mistrial. This is reporting from TMZ. Diddy's defense lawyer cried out for a mistrial Wednesday after a witness revealed fingerprints connected to the alleged break-in at Kid Cudi's Hollywood Hills house had been destroyed. An arson investigator was testifying about the Molotov cocktail thrown into Kid Cudi's car back in January 2012. Prosecutors believe the device was thrown at the behest of Diddy in a jealous rage over Cassie. The arson investigator testified his unit had recovered DNA on the bottle used for the firebomb, and the partial DNA was from an unknown woman. The investigator then testified Kid Cudi had given his unit fingerprint cards from a December 2011 burglary at his home, a burglary at which Diddy was allegedly present. Now, the drama, the investigator revealed, those fingerprint cards Cudi had given them were destroyed in 2012 by the LAPD. The defense jumped on this, claiming it would be exculpatory evidence if the fingerprints at the burglary didn't match the fingerprints at the arson scene. The defense argued the prosecution knew the insinuation would prejudice the defense's case, but proceeded anyway. Okay. The jury was sent out of the courtroom, and Diddy's defense attorney, Alexandra Shapiro, said the feds were, quote, trying to plant the idea with these jurors that Mr. Combs had something to do with the destruction of these fingerprints, end quote. The judge rejected the claim and denied the motion for a mistrial. So it looks like it's going to continue. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments here. I mean, they got to try. I'm sure he's paying them a pretty penny to try and get him off as much as possible. So I don't blame them for trying to do what they got to do. Let's see here. So it's talking about an LAPD cop. An LAPD cop testified today about the break-in at Kid Cudi's house. Let's get into this reporting from TMZ. Testimony continued for the third week in the Sean Diddy Combs federal ex-trafficking trial, racketeering trial in Manhattan Wednesday morning, with two victims, an LA cop and an arson investigator, all slated to take the stand. All right, one day after Capricorn Clark's bombshell testimony, the prosecution calls LAPD officer Christopher Ignacio as the first witness of the day. Ignacio is asked about a 911 call on December 11, 2011 at about 8 a.m. which he describes as a code 3 with lights and sirens, to a Hollywood Hills address. The address is Scott Kid Cudi Muscuti's house, the location of an alleged break-in by Diddy and associates, and where Cudi's car was later destroyed by a Molotov cocktail. Ignacio says a Cadillac Escalade was present when officers arrived. For Beverly, I agree. That's how I would have interpreted it, but perhaps because the people, or at least some people who were involved in it, were saying it wasn't voluntary, that's where the difference comes in here. That they were forced to do it and it wasn't optional participation. I think that's where the distinction comes in. If everybody was okay with it, no lawsuits would be filed. We wouldn't be here. But clearly, everybody wasn't okay with it, and I think that's where it gets a little murky. Um, and you don't know what's in somebody's head, so it's hard to say. But if they're saying I wasn't doing it because I wanted to, I was doing it because I have to. I think that's the problem there for him, and that's what the defense team has got to work on, trying to rebuke, saying that no, people were doing this because they wanted to. Um, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We're watching the trial here. We're listening to the testimony as it goes, and we're gonna comment on what we're hearing and see what we think. I'm gonna jump back into the story here. Ignacio testified he ran the plates of the Escalade, which came back as belonging to Bad Boy Records. The defense team began cross-examination, and Diddy's attorney, Brian Steele, asked Ignacio to confirm these events occurred 13 years ago. Ignacio does and says no furniture was upended inside the house. Steele asked about whether Ignacio called it a trespassing, not a burglary, but the judge sustains the prosecution's objection. Ignacio says he did see security cameras, said Cudi was calm when he showed up, and he asked if he would have issued a police alert if he thought there was a pow pow in the Escalade, and Ignacio confirms he did not put out an alert. Ignacio is then excused. Before the jury was seated, the judge presided over procedural issues with the defense and prosecution teams. One message in particular was brought up, which message, or what was kind was unclear when Judge Arun Subramanian pointing out prosecutors want to use it to demonstrate Cassie Ventura's state of mind. Combs' attorney says that's the problem with not being able to recall Cassie back to the stand. Prosecution says they'll quote the message. Quote, he's making me freak off on my birthday. She didn't want to go, end quote. The defense counters with a hypothetical about a spouse not wanting to go to a hockey game. The judge says she could have been cross-examined about this. They moved on and sat the jury. So let me know your thoughts on that. Never stop. All right, ordering ladies of the night or men of the night is illegal everywhere but Rio. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he thought everybody was a willing participant and he was just paying people for their time, or if he was paying for that service. I don't know what the whole mentality was there, but we're definitely watching and we're going to see how this plays out ultimately. With we still got more testimony to go. This trial's supposed to be going through July, so I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more explosive things than we've already heard. And we got to talk about somebody who has already testified, and this was one of the escorts who had participated in these extracurricular activities Diddy and Cassie had going on here. And he apologizes to Cassie. So he's been out here doing some interviews since he has testified in the trial here. I want to say he's got a book out as well. So I don't know if he's trying to sell the book or if he's just, legitimately trying to talk about this experience with this case. But let's get into the story from TMZ. Sheree Hayes, an exotic male dancer known as the Punisher, that name kills me. It just does not fit that line of work, is apologizing to Cassie Ventura for his role in some actual encounters with Diddy. The Punisher went on CNN and said he's sorry to Cassie for any suffering he may have caused her, explaining that at the time he had no idea or indication that she was having a bad experience. Hayes testified in the Diddy criminal trial about his role in freak offs with Diddy and Cassie, and he told us he didn't see Did he do anything that seemed illegal? But after learning Cassie but after learning, Cassie told jurors she was being blackmailed and threatened to participate in freak-offs. He offered up his apology. The Punisher says it's tough to think he played a role in a situation where a woman was possibly being abused, especially as a man raised by a single mother and a grandmother. Hayes even wrote a book about his 30-year career as a top-tier exotic male dancer, including several passages referencing his experiences with Diddy and Cassie. Says he was remorseful and regretful for any contributions he may have made to a bad experience for Cassie. Let me know your thoughts on that. All right, so we got Beverly here. I heard his interview. It was dignified and respectful. He explained that he could see that she was uncomfortable at times. I haven't heard it in its entirety. I heard parts. I just think it's weird to be interviewing about that when the case is still going on and you testified in the trial. To me, that's a little bit murky. Like, wait until it's over and then go out and do all that talking while it's happening. I just don't think it's a good look, but he might be trying to capitalize on the fact that his name is public now. People have an interest because he's involved in one of the biggest cases that has gone on here, I believe, since the OJ trial. So, that could have a lot to do with it. He's just trying to get his 15 minutes of fame. But I don't know. He appears to be sincere from what I've seen as well. I don't think he was doing anything with the intention of being negative towards her. I think he probably honestly thought it was innocent interactions on there and didn't realize what was going on behind the scenes. Uh, wouldn't that be crazy though, to all of a sudden you think, you're just doing something and you're done with that, you get your money, and then you come back and you're in this major trial with all this um you're in this major trial with all of this media circus that's around it. That's got to be a crazy experience here. Okay, we got to get into Never Stop. If it goes down with escorts or ladies or men of the night, it is human trafficking, slave labor he was doing with his workers as a form of human trafficking. Well, that's what the prosecution is out to prove, and we'll see by the end of this trial if they did their job here. We'll see how the jurors interpret it. Caden, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate all of the comments here. Keep them coming. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this case, what your feelings are about it from what we've learned so far here. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of other interesting stuff that came out during today's testimony, like we saw with Capricorn Clark. That was wild. If you haven't seen that, go check out my live from yesterday here. She had a lot to say about her time with Diddy, and it was a lot. Lillian, welcome. You're a Leo. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And then we're going to squeeze in here one more story about Larry Hoover being pardoned here. We just saw that flash across. So Trump is getting his pardons on. He's definitely busy doing some pardons. What's going on with Carmelo Anthony? Did something new happen in that case? Let me know, Maximus, because I'm also following that one as well. What's going on with Carmelo? And let's get. Oh, hold on. Okay, so NBA YoungBoy got a pardon too. All right, let's squeeze in both of these. All right. So Trump commutes ex-kingpin's life sentence. This reporting from TMZ. Gangster Disciples founder Larry Hoover found himself among the lucky inmates who got good news on Wednesday. President Donald Trump commuted the prison sentence of the reformed Chicago gang leader on the same day he granted Julie and Todd Chrisley their freedom. So he is definitely signing them pardons. Maximus, if you're on here, let me know what's going on with Carmelo Anthony here. Is there some new updates? I don't know. Did they pick a trial date yet? Right, it says Hoover's name should ring bells in your memory. Kanye West and Drake famously squashed their brewing beef back in 2021 in a live stream event at the LA Memorial Coliseum, billed as the Free Larry Hoover fundraising benefit concert. I do remember that. Ye sent all praises due to President Trump for the pardon after hearing the news, and Hoover's family is also in the midst of a celebration. Rick Ross also immortalized Hoover on his now classic 2011 track BMF, Blowing Money Fast, a track that also championed life and crimes of another recently pardoned former substance dealer, Demetrius Big Meech Flournoy Sr. Commuted sentence is one that's been reduced by a president or state governor, but the original conviction still stands, as opposed to a pardon which erases the conviction. Okay, I did wonder what the difference is. And Kaden, who did you vote for? Who did you vote for? This isn't a political channel where we talk about that, but if you want to share that, that's great. Beverly, Kamala Democrat for life. Thank you for sharing. And then we got our next one. Hoover, now 74 years old, had been imprisoned imprisoned with multiple life sentences for a 1978 murder. And being the GD's head honcho, he's since denounced the criminal activity of the gang he created. He's been serving time in the ADX Florence Supermax prison in Colorado. Now he has more than a century. Now he still has more than a century to serve on his Illinois state sentence, so he's not walking free. Trump can't forgive state crimes. Hoover will soon be released from federal custody and immediately transferred to an Illinois state prison. So it doesn't look like he's out completely, but he doesn't have to worry about the federal portion of the sentence. So I guess something's better than nothing, right? And then NBA young boy got pardoned by President Trump today. So what is that? Four or five that he's done so far, just this week. So this is reporting from TMZ. NBA YoungBoy now has his entire young life ahead of him, thanks to President Donald Trump swooping in with a presidential pardon. See it for yourself. He obtained the letter written to President Trump from YoungBoy's dedicated team of attorneys at MGKB Law Group or Law Corporation, and they outlined young boys' past, plight, and future potential if given another chance. Let's see. The Louisiana rapper says he worked hard to earn a second chance, calling himself, quote, grateful, focused, and ready, end quote, for the challenge to keep his nose clean. The 25-year-old amassed several weapons, assault, and substance charges since 2020 and had his future hanging in the balance as he sat on house arrest, far removed from his old hoods. The timing couldn't be more perfect. NBA YoungBoy recently announced a nationwide MASA tour and should be able to travel more freely now. Trump's pardon finger has been very busy this week with Gangster Disciples founder Larry Hoover got a commutation, and Todd and Julie Chrisley got a full pardon. All right, well, let me know what you think in here. He's got a lot going on, and we'll see what more comes out related to that. And let's see. Well, we'll talk about one little last Diddy story, and then we'll call it on the live here. But if you have not already done so, please like the live. It's a free way to support, and it goes a long way. It means a whole lot. If you're still on right now, we'd love to have you a part of the Aries crew. It's free to join. All you got to do is hit that subscription button, hit that notification bell so you can find out every time I go live, post videos, post on the community page. We have fun over here, and we'd love to have you a part of the family. And we're going to get into this last story from TMZ here on the Diddy trial. Federal prosecutors just released shocking new photos. They say show the aftermath of the Molotov cocktail incident with Kid Cudi's Porsche, an incident Cudi thinks Diddy was involved in, and now we're seeing some of what jurors were shown in court. Prosecutors just entered photos of Kid Cudi's car fire aftermath as exhibits in the case, and they appear to show what Kid Cudi and LAFD arson investigator Lance Jimenez testified about in terms of fire damage from a Molotov cocktail. Jimenez testified Wednesday an Old English 800 malt liquor bottle was used in the incident, and when he arrived at the scene, he saw the bottle in the front seat, and that appears to be what the photos show. The arson investigator also testified gasoline, a designer handkerchief, and a lighter were used to make the Molotov cocktail, and some of those items appear to be in these exhibits. As you know, we're in the third week of testimony in the Diddy federal trafficking and racketeering trial in NYC. And we'll post these pics on the community page. So I'll post them later on tonight so you can take a look at the evidence here, these exhibits that have been shown in court. Prosecutors also released a bunch of other exhibits. We've not been able to identify the images, but you can click through there and see for yourself. So we'll see what shakes from this tree with the testimony as it continues. I know there's going to be more people coming. I can't remember everyone who's going to be testifying, but as that information comes out, we will be posting it here on Aries Rose TV. And I did have one more story. I can't believe I forgot it. We got to talk about Chucky. So the actor who played Chucky, and let me know if you remember Chucky back from those 80s movies, that psychotic doll that came to life. He was the actor who played that character, and I didn't even realize it was an actor this whole time. I thought it was some like animated thing. I didn't even know it was somebody who was playing in the role. So I learned something new today. But this person has passed away. So this is going to be our last story for today. It's reporting from TMZ. Ed Gale has passed away at 61. The actor who played the horror icon Chucky in some of the Child's Play films has passed away at 61, TMZ has confirmed. A source who was with Ed when he passed tells TMZ he died Tuesday in hospice in LA. Ed's niece, Cassie Gale, paid tribute to her fun uncle in a heartfelt Facebook post saying he's taken his final bow and is now headlining in the afterlife. His cause of death was not revealed. She reflected on his wild journey to fame, hitching a ride to California at 20 with just $41 in his pocket, to starring in more than 130 movies, TV shows, and commercials. Good for him. Ed starred in cult hits like Howard the Duck. Let me know if y'all remember Howard the Duck. Tell me that in the comments if you remember that show. And Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town. Never heard of that. He's best known for bringing Chucky to life in the original Child's Play and other two films in the Killer Doll franchise. He's also starred in Bones, Spaceballs, and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Ed was also facing serious controversy in recent years. At the time of his passing, he was still under investigation for allegedly trying to solicit intercourse from multiple minors. Now that's terrible. Okay. I did not hear about that story prior to the passing here, so that's kind of wild there, but may he rest in peace. Let me know your thoughts on that. Do you remember the Chucky movies? Are you a horror fan? Do you remember Howard the Duck? I don't think that was considered a horror movie, but it was a horrible movie, but I loved it as a kid. I thought that was like one of the best movies, but when I watched it as an adult, I was like, how did this get made? This movie is crazy. But it was a good time. It was a good time. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here on the live, and thank you so much for helping us to reach 1,800 subscribers. That was the goal to get to by June, and I'm so excited that we were able to reach that. Looking forward to hitting 2,000. Thank you for all the support on the channel and for coming onto the lives and for commenting. It means a lot. Greatly appreciate it. We will be back on live tomorrow. Of course, we got to continue to cover the Diddy trial and any other trending topics that come up. We'll bring it to you here on Aries Rose TV. And follow us on Instagram if you haven't already done so, at Aries Rose TV. Follow us there and we'll follow you back. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow, and thank you for watching.